It is kind of funny to, I'm doing it for both states, but I'll get comments on some of my content here and there that are like, oh, North Carolina's better, South Carolina's better. There are people that feel very strongly about the one state over the other. I personally don't. I kind of, I'm born in South Carolina, so I have that attachment, but I've spent a lot of my, I went to college here in North Carolina, and I've been in Charlotte since 2021, so I've spent a lot of time in North Carolina. I mean, I got a lot of love for both. So personally, it's, just a flip of a coin. Just love them both.
Man, he's running for office somewhere, isn't he?
All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Whole Story Podcast. Robbie and Jonathan here. We appreciate you guys joining us as always. Want to give a shout out to Western Birch, friends of the program. They make incredible custom golf tees. Jonathan and I keep laughing that we're not breaking enough of them, so we've got a number of them that still have the best ball logos on them. The cool thing about them, besides their durability, is you can customize them pretty much any color you want. You can throw logos on there. We could throw the Cackalacky Golf logo on there, and it would look really good, I would imagine. So check out westernbirch.com. Lewis and the team there do great work. But yeah, if you use Best Ball in the shipping cart, you'll get a free gift with it. But yeah, Western Birch is awesome, so we appreciate it. And we appreciate you guys for listening to the show, for the Whole Story Podcast, and the other things that we have going on with Best Ball. I mean, if you follow the Best Ball on social media or look at the bestball.com website, you can see the different podcasts that we help produce, the different ways we're trying to help tell golf stories. So we appreciate the follows. Jonathan and I were laughing that we kind of hit a little milestone on the YouTube channel, and it's small to us, but it's a big one because, as Jonathan pointed out, everybody hits that milestone at some point. So I appreciate those that are following along and subscribing. But like we do every time on the Whole Story Podcast, we love great golf stories, and we have a great guest today, Ryan Cummings. He is the founder of Cackalacky Golf up in Charlotte, North Carolina, talking all things about golf in the Carolinas. I love the tagline, golf apparel for the Carolinas. So, Ryan, thanks for joining us on the Whole Story Podcast.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
So, tell us, how'd you fall in love with the game of golf? And just kind of give us your story about how you got to this point.
Yeah. So golf for me, I grew up playing a lot of different sports. I've kind of dabbled in everything. I didn't play in high school or anything. It was always something that, me and my dad would go to the driving range or, hit balls in the backyard or something of that sort. I grew up, my dad was in the Coast Guard, so I moved around a lot. I remember my first golf memories come from, we lived in a place called, it was in New York. It's called Fire Island, which is an island off of Long Island. Um, and so it's a really neat place where the Coast Guard station we lived in was on a state park. And within this state park is a small 18-hole par 3 golf course.
Perfect.
And so that's my first memories of golf come from playing this little beach par 3 course where you take, I had my little 9 iron and a putter. And that's really how I got into it. And then I went off to college, would play a little bit here and there when I had time. And then once I graduated from college, it was kind of, I played lacrosse in college, so I wanted to still do some sort of sport. So golf obviously is something that I could keep that competitive itch going. And so I started getting into golf more after I graduated as something to keep playing. And then I remember the 2019 Masters when Tiger won that. That really kind of hooked me. I really enjoyed watching that Masters. And so it's kind of has just blossomed since then.
Would your other lacrosse buddies agree that golf is a sport, or would that be some point of contention maybe?
No, and yeah, I mean all of the guys that I've graduated with that are all still in the air. I golf with a lot of guys that I've played lacrosse with. A lot of them love golf at this point. It's kind of their go-to sport. So yeah, no, definitely a sport.
All right.
Well, I love the name Cackalacky Golf, and somebody I'm from South Carolina. I've been in South Carolina my whole life. Jonathan lived here in South Carolina for a period of time before heading over to Augusta. So the name Cackalacky, like obviously a nickname for the Carolinas, for Carolina. I use it South Cackalacky or whatever, and I think it was even Kevin Garnett back in the day. Didn't he like give it a shout out or something? But so tell us, right? If you're from all over and now you're living outside of Charlotte, how do you come about and create this thing called Cackalacky Golf?
Yeah, so my dad, Coast Guard. I was born in Myrtle Beach, or just outside of it, Georgetown specifically.
Nice.
And so moved around a ton. But my grandparents live in South Florida. That's where my parents grew up, South Florida. So all of my like sports allegiances are Florida teams. But when we lived up north, we would drive from New York down to Florida, and so every time we would drive through North Kakalaki, South Kakalaki, and that was just something. It just always stuck with me. That it just was a funny kind of name, and it's just always kind of stuck around with me. And so when I had this idea, for this brand, which kind of hit me back in 2022, the fall of 22 was kind of when this all came together. I was like, I want to do a golf brand. I want to do it based around the Carolinas, and I was like, Cackalacky Golf. Like that's the name. That's what I'm doing. That's it. It made sense to me. It all kind of fell together.
Yeah, so you also write. So at what point did writing start translating over into golf?
Ooh, I mean, I guess it's all just I have done throughout my life. I've done all sorts of different content. Like I've just never been afraid to kind of put myself out there, and so I think I've just when I was going to do this golf stuff, I wanted to put my thoughts and opinions out there, whether it was going to be video. Or writing it down, or however it would be, I wanted to just put out my thoughts and opinions and be willing to put it out to the world. And so that's just kind of where that came from, is just another way to kind of just showcase where I'm going, what I'm experiencing.
Would you say the goal is obviously to highlight golf and the golf community in the Carolinas, but you do that through apparel, right? Like, is that kind of the where you want people to go appreciate golf in the Carolinas, but have a brand that they can that really highlights that as well?
Yeah, that's really the goal of it. Is the first idea I had was that um, I was at a wedding. I was talking to a buddy, and I was just like, I think the Carolinas are the best states in the country. Like you've got the mountains, you've got the beaches, you've got cities, the lakes, and I just had this conversation, and I just was like, I just like felt something inside of me. I was like I just like think these states are so great, and it was the first time because I've moved around so much. If you ask me where I'm from, I don't tell you I'm not from Myrtle Beach. I really don't know where I'm from. In a sense I feel homeless, and so to me, Kakalaki Golf represents the idea of finding home, and just this sense of home I found through the Carolinas. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to build was, just build a brand that's based around that. And so apparel is just kind of the way that I'm able to put that out to the world.
Well, tell us a little bit about the apparel. Like, what all are you trying to do? Like, obviously, hats. You got some release. We're recording this on a Monday, and you just had a drop with a new hat and shirt today, I believe, right?
Yeah. Just did a brand new hat and a brand new polo, kind of 4th of July, red, white, blue kind of theme. It's easy with the state outlines, both incorporate all those colors, so it was easy for it to come together. But yeah, I'm doing I've got hats, polos, quarter zips. I'm working on like a performance hoodie at the moment. We've got head covers, golf gloves, working on a golf towel, working on golf tees. I'm trying to put everything that I can golf related out there. I'm not trying to necessarily reinvent the wheel with any of this stuff. I'm not innovating in any sense. It's really just I have this strong sense of this love for the Carolinas, and I just want to show that through apparel. And which has been neat because I've had a lot of people that have connected with that and are on the same page as me.
We know you can't pick one state over the other because you probably have customers in both, but do you have one state that seems to be really latching on, or maybe your customers are giving you feedback saying we need to see our state represented more?
It is kind of funny to I'm doing it for both states, but I'll get comments on some of my content here and there that are like, oh, North Carolina's better, South Carolina's better. There are people that feel very strongly about the one state over the other. I personally don't. I kind of, I'm born in South Carolina, so I have that attachment. But I've spent a lot of my, I went to college here in North Carolina, and I've been in Charlotte since 2021. So I've spent a lot of time in North Carolina. I mean, I got a lot of love for both. So personally, it's, just a flip of a coin. Just love them both.
Man, he's running for office somewhere, isn't he?
Well, it's funny, being in South Carolina, when somebody says Carolina, obviously, naturally, I think South. You say the same thing up in North Carolina, and they think, oh, no, that's us. So you might be the happy medium of, we can go both ways. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. Well, I think it's cool that you're highlighting the Carolinas, right? We had Dan and Katie Winters who do 3570 Golf Co., and they highlight Midwest golf stuff. So they've made an apparel line of Midwest-inspired hats, shirts, and all those different things that, they're in Wichita, Kansas. So they're showing off the Midwest golf love. And as a Carolina guy, I appreciate the fact that you're doing it for the Carolinas. So what's kind of been the biggest challenge, but also the biggest reward or victory that you've seen so far?
So I think challenges is that I am a one man show. It is I'm the only owner of Cackalacky Golf. I have a lot of friends that give me input that have helped me out in a lot of ways, but on the operation side, it's just me. So I wear every hat. I do the content. I'm dealing with manufacturers. I do the shipping and logistics. I have my wife helps me out with getting stuff shipped out. So I get a lot of help, but I wear a lot of hats. So that I think the biggest challenge is wearing all of those hats and trying to balance and still push the brand forward. I have to spend a ton of time on social media just because that's how I've grown. That's how I get my stuff out to people is the social media. So I spend a lot of time doing that. Um, so it's definitely the biggest challenge. But I think reward. I think anytime if I have a post that performs well, it doesn't like you'd think that it's something that's like, oh yeah, that's this validation. But I just it's cool for a second, but really to me the most you know success or validation that I get is when someone just sends me a simple message like, "Hey man, love your brand, love what you're doing. It's really cool." And that's the stuff that just like it. That's when it tells me that like, I'm on the right track.
As you're telling the golf story from North Carolina, South Carolina, we obviously, Robbie and I know because we're around here and you do too. But if you're talking to someone from like Kansas or Texas, how would you describe the differences between the North and the South of the Carolinas?
Um, I mean, I think when I think of South Carolina, the biggest thing that comes to mind for me is like the Low Country, that kind of stuff with Charleston and the kind of marshy type of golf that South Carolina has. That comes to mind when I think of North Carolina. Some of the big things that come to mind, you've got the mountains, which South Carolina does as well. But I think North Carolina, I think the mountains, and then I think of Sandhills, Pinehurst. That's such a historic and popular, famous place that those are kind of the three that come immediately to mind.
Do you have a preference? Like if you could, like you said, you're close to all of them. If you got to play one day, where are you heading? Maybe not a course, maybe like geography type environment.
Yeah, I think it's got to be like the Sand Hills type of course, just because I remember. So when I moved to Charlotte in 2021, it was like it was a September or October Sunday, and I went and played 9 holes by myself just here at a course in Charlotte. And it's not Sand Hills by any sense, but it's the tall pines. It was just a beautiful fall evening, and that was like one of the times that I kind of sat there and I was like, "This is home." So I get that same feeling when I play some of those Sand Hills courses. So just because of that, I think Sand Hills.
Well, I think you mentioned it, right? The uniqueness of both states is you can be at the beach, you can be at the mountains, you can be in the mecca of golf. Robbie and I just went to the U.S. Open, and it was only 4 hours away, and I'm all the way literally on the far side of the state of South Carolina, just over the river. So if you're a golf person, you're listening to this, and you're like, why should I come North or South Carolina? Just pick a road trip and start driving. You're going to run into some pretty good places.
Well, you mentioned you're from the Georgetown area, and you did something like we did. I'm big fans of the Caledonia and True Blue. We interviewed Bart Romano last summer Jonathan and I have played Caledonia True Blue so many times, but
Yep.
some of our favorite courses. You have done the same. You went and had an interview, and you did I really liked it, kind of separated it into a different little series, 7 or 8 short videos, but obviously a bigger one, of a talk with Bart Romano there at Caledonian True Blue. What is it about those courses? Obviously, Mike Strantz designs, but what is it about those courses attracted you to go, hey, let's go sit down with Bart, have an in-depth conversation, and just learn more about these 2 spots?
Yeah, so going back, so I think it was June of 22 was the first time I went on a golf trip with some buddies, and one of the courses we played was Tobacco Road. And playing Tobacco Road for the first time, it was just like I don't know what I just experienced, but I just need this. I need more of this. This is like incredible. I loved the creativity behind it. It was just something I had never experienced before, and so that just sparked an immediately interest, and I wanted to know more about Mike Strantz. I wanted to learn about his history. I wanted to see what other courses he had out there, and so obviously it's really neat that I think he's got Tot Hill, Tobacco Road in North Carolina, and then you've got Caledonia, True Blue, and then Bulls Bay are in South Carolina. So 5 of his courses are all in the Carolinas. So that's really neat. So that was, I've been trying to cross those off my list. I've been to Tot Hill twice now, and I wanted to make sure to get down Caledonia and True Blue. So that was, a no-brainer to go see those, and it was definitely a really neat experience. Those are 2 incredible courses. I have nothing but incredible things to say about both of them. I think Caledonia, I left that place like there's just no other word to describe it than just like pure. It's just a pure course. And then True Blue has just a lot of the typical Mike Strantz stuff that I just that I love at Tobacco Road and his other courses. So yeah, that was a really neat experience. I really enjoyed those.
Do you have a favorite hole on one of those courses that you either how about this, from a non-golf perspective, because obviously you're doing videos and photos and stuff like that. Do you have a hole that stands out that just sort of sticks with you?
So Caledonia hole 18, really like that. I mean, that's gonna be a very popular one for a lot of people, but I'm gonna say I like this one. Me and my buddies, we did a best ball match play on both days, and on Sunday we played Caledonia, and we were tied on going into 18. And so just that, having like the clubhouses right there, we're tied in a best ball match, and like you're hitting this approach shot over water. Like I was so nervous, but there's this, we weren't playing for money. This was just like guys having a match, and I just
Yeah.
was so nervous over this, and I just like looking back on it, I don't know. That's just, I love that kind of stuff. I think that's really neat that like you can have that kind of experience that just with nothing on the line.
Question is, how'd you hit the shot though? Water?
No, I did. Surprisingly, none of us went in the water. All of us made it over. Now, it's not like none of us stuck it close. I think I was on the fringe, and my other buddies were kind of just in the rough. But that same hole ended up having a 10-foot putt to win the match, and I sunk it.
Nice.
And I swore I thought I won the Masters. I like immediately, I like fist pumped. I was so happy. Obviously, I'm thinking everybody on like the porch is sitting there watching me like that guy is so cool. He just sunk a 10-foot putt. So that really enjoyed that.
It definitely adds to the value of the porch, right? Especially we've been with larger groups. It adds a lot of pressure to the porch because they're a rowdy crowd. They're not like a Masters crowd. They're more like a waste management crowd whenever you get a whole group there. So.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun. I really appreciated the clip that you posted today. Again, go check out the entire interview you did with Bart. But one question I really appreciate you asking is something about the differences between the 2 courses and which do people prefer. I agree completely with his answer and he talked about the distance of the courses and how people's perspective are different. But he talked about, people like Caledonia better, but it's actually the tougher course. Talk about that a little bit, about what you learned from him during that part.
Yeah, no, I think he was on it that True Blue's the longer course, and I believe that's correct. True Blue is the
Yes.
longer one. Caledonia is not as long, but it plays. Yeah, didn't sit there and play the course and think, oh, this is a really short course. I definitely would agree it's a lot tighter off the tee box. True Blue, you can It's a little bit more forgiving. You can spray it around a little bit just because the fairways are, 50, 60 yards wide. But, it's just some of the visual intimidation that can get you, which I think that's, it's really neat. So I think they're both challenging in their own ways. But, I would say Caledonian, I think, is the more challenging of the courses.
I think our friends got into the waste bunkers of True Blue, and just again, like he said, if you can hit out of a waste bunker, you're fine.
Yeah.
And I don't think they were able to do it as well, and so that made it for a long day sometimes.
Well, the problem is that you just stay in the waste bunker. It's not that you can get out of it. It's just like you can have an entire hole where all you do is just stay in the waste. So,
Yeah.
well, hope maybe it happened for you this weekend. My guess is if there was waste involved, it might not have. But we always ask, what is your most memorable golf shot? Maybe the 10-footer to beat your buddies for just bragging rights.
To be honest, it just might. That, or I don't know if there's a specific time that I've done it. I can't like shape shots. I'm not sitting here hitting draws and fades and doing all sorts of fancy things. But there's one thing that I'm capable of is I can take my 3-iron and I can hit like a low punch like hook. And I've done it like once or twice where I hit this like low punch hook and like have it like roll, and most of the time it's because I sprayed one of the trees
Yeah.
and I need to get myself out. But I can use this one shot to kind of roll myself up near the green. I think one of the I did it at Caledonia. It might have been 15. I put myself in the trees and I punch hooked out and rolled like just to the fringe. So for some, I love that kind of creativity in golf. I really enjoy that stuff when people can do that. I always think that's really neat. Not that I can pull it off in any other situation aside from this one. So that's what comes to mind.
We all seem to have the imagination of what it's going to do, and then none of it actually happens. So, I mean, if you listen, it sounds like you're making it happen. If you're ever, let's see, I'm assuming you're right-handed, right? So if you're ever stuck somewhere on the left-hand side, you can for sure get it up there to the green.
Yeah.
What's crazy though is like those are the shots we probably hit more often than not. So why don't we ever do that from the fairway? It's like, all right, the punch hook 3-iron would be a good spot from 200 yards here. Let's just kind of give it a little curve but no, we think we're going to hit this big towering shot where we need to hit what we know how to do. So
there's not enough roots in the way in order for us to have to hit the shot, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
Hey golf friends, this is Robbie from Best Ball. Are you looking for the ultimate Myrtle Beach golf experience? Well, it's only a click away. Check out the 2-play special at 2 of America's most awarded public golf courses and 2 of my personal favorites. Caledonia Golf and Fish Club and True Blue Golf Club are low country masterpieces featuring 2 iconic Mike Strantz designs. Play these 2 incredible courses for one great price. Visit truebluegolf.com to learn more about the 2-play special and book your tee time today. That's truebluegolf.com.
Well, we always like to do a thing we call the quick 9 as well. So we're going to ask you just 9 simple questions. You can be as involved as you prefer. The first one out there, favorite course that you've played outside of the Carolinas?
Ooh, that one's immediately going to. I just went to Royal New Kent last week, so keeping it on the Strantz train. Royal New Kent, oh my gosh, that place it's Tobacco Road, but with just really tall grass. Like instead of there being sandy waste areas, there's just tall rough. You're probably, if you don't hit a fairway, you're not finding the ball. But it's just like that front 9, the rolling hills, like all of it. I felt like I was on a different planet. It felt like a magical place, and it gave me a lot of the same feelings as Tobacco Road.
Very nice. What's the course at the top of your bucket list?
The first 2 that come to mind. So I have not played Pinehurst number 2. I got to walk it a month or 2 ago, take pictures and stuff like that, but didn't get to play it. So Pinehurst number 2 to play it would be, the first one that comes to mind, and then Kiowa, the Ocean Course, is the other.
Both great courses.
Yeah, not too bad. What is your favorite course in North Carolina?
I'm gonna switch this one up because I could keep just saying Strand stuff, but I'm gonna switch it up just for the sake of mixing things. I love Nags Head Golf Links in Nags Head, North Carolina, Outer Banks area. It's a really neat course. It's not long. It's very much a course where you have to be accurate with your irons, and the wind can play a big factor into how difficult the course is. but it's really neat right along the bay there. I really enjoy that place.
All right. Flip side, favorite course in South Carolina.
Um, I need to get down more into South Carolina. I have not done enough stuff in South Carolina to this point. Um, so of the ones I've played so far, I think I would say Caledonia.
Well, come on down, man. Let's play some golf.
Yeah, let's find the
Yeah.
time. We'll come on over. All right. What is the best course in South Carolina or North Carolina that no one talks about?
Yeah, so I'm not gonna say Nag's Head because I just said that one. Um,
Yeah, and everyone's talking about it now since you said it.
yeah, everybody's gonna know Nag's Head golf links. Hmm. I'd want to say Tot Hill, but I feel like it's becoming popular. It's getting a lot of publicity around.
Give me a Charlotte course that would have public access that we need to come play.
So, first that comes to mind would be Mooresville Golf Club. That is one. It's north of Charlotte, right around the Lake Norman area. It's an originally nine. The first 9 holes were Donald Ross. Um, the 18 holes were restored by Chris Spence, who's done a lot of Donald Ross courses, or a lot of his restorations. So it has a full, it really feels like a Donald Ross course. So it's really neat, and it's a muni, but has really solid facilities for it being a muni. So that's one that I really enjoy.
Perfect. Yeah, I've not played many, maybe one course up there around that area. So that's an area I want to play more golf in. So that's a good one to know. All right, who would be in your dream foursome?
I- This came across. I was on Instagram going through my stories today, and this I can't remember if it was I believe it was Eric Lottery's story, and it said if you're ever on a podcast and you need to like pick like, and someone asks you who's your dream foursome, you have to say Eric Lottery and Roger Steele. So because I saw that today, and I think those guys are just so funny. And just Roger Steele, I don't know, that dude is just cool. There's no other word to describe him than cool. So I'll go Roger Steele, Eric Lottery, and then for my fourth, I'm gonna not golf related. This is gonna, might be a little bit out there. I'm going Mike McDaniel, the Miami Dolphins head coach.
Mike
I'm a Miami,
McDaniel.
I'm a
Well,
Miami
well,
Dolphins fan, and he's pure entertainment. So I think if you threw those three people together, it might be an incredible round of golf.
I've got to have a follow-up question on that. What shoes do you think Mike McDaniel wears to play golf? Because he is a shoe guy.
Yes,
He
he's a
he
shoe
wears
guy.
like
I mean,
his
he's
the
probably
tags are still on the shoes on the sideline.
yeah.
What shoes
He's
he wearing?
probably got some like Jordan golf shoes of some sort.
Probably signed by Michael, and he's just wearing them out there. I don't doubt.
Well, we reached out to Roger about coming on the podcast. So maybe this will get him on when we throw this clip up there. So, or if nothing else, maybe you'll get to play golf with him. That'd be fun.
That's right. All right. What is your favorite snack on the golf course?
I'm a big turn dog guy. I gotta get a turn dog. That's the go-to. Other than that, maybe some peanut butter crackers would be like another snack of mine. But I need a turn dog, at least one.
Are you a chowder at Caledonia guy?
I did, I did not do the chowder at Caledonia. There's just like I think it's a really neat thing that they do, but it's not personally my style. And I was just I was kind of laughing at my buddies. I'm like, you guys got to golf, and you're just holding this cup of chowder now.
Yeah,
So
you
not
got
personally.
9 more holes after some chowder. That's yeah. All right. What's your favorite golf course logo?
Ooh. I think the one you're wearing, I really like Tree Farm. That's a great one. Um, I'll say another shout out to one that I went to recently. It's not in the Carolinas. It's called Golden Horseshoe. It's up in Williamsburg, Virginia. It's where I did a golf trip with some buddies. But Golden Horseshoe, it's just the horseshoe. It's got a flag that says 18. It is just it's an incredibly clean logo. So aside from Tree Farm, I'm gonna say Golden Horseshoe.
Nice.
Nice. We'll have to look that up. All right. And finally, what is next for Cackalacky Golf?
Ooh, next. I mean my biggest goal is to start partnering with golf courses to get in their pro shops to help them do apparel. I think because I can, I've been collaborating with courses to do some of my interviews, and I've been building some relationships that way. But I think my biggest opportunity for growth comes from partnering with courses, and I want to one of my inspirations behind this brand is I want to be an asset to golf courses here in the Carolinas. I can provide photography, the videography. I've got the interview, I've got the content, and then I can provide apparel that I feel confident that's just as high quality as any other brand. So I think I can really provide some good stuff to courses. So that's probably my biggest goal.
That's going to be awesome. Ryan, tell everybody where to find your stuff.
You guys can find me Cackalacky Golf on Instagram and TikTok. You can look me up. YouTube is also Cackalacky Golf, and then the website is cackalacchygolf.com.
Yeah, well, we will definitely post links to all of that in the show notes for sure. But Ryan, thanks, man, for joining us and telling the story on the Whole Story podcast. It's been fun.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, well, I highly recommend, and again, being a South Carolina guy, I love it. Cackalacky Golf. Follow Ryan and all the fun stuff he's doing on Instagram, TikTok, and all the other places. Again, links in the show notes. But yeah, that takes us to the end of another episode of Whole Story Podcast. For Jonathan and Ryan, this has been Robbie. We appreciate it. We'll see you guys next time.